His Excellency, I know Minister Erlangga just left, but I want to honor him. And of course, Your Excellency, Minister Firman Hidayat, Deputy Coordinating Minister for Maritime Investment Affairs, our dear host, Mr. Wee Chong, the CEO of UOB, Mr. Henry Gunawan, the President Director in Indonesia of UOB, our dear ambassadors, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. I really appreciate the fact that ASEAN Secretariat is invited here today to share and to discuss matters of, I would say, great importance to us, because we are going to be discussing the future since this morning on the future of ASEAN and how we can chart our way together forward. Now, in this new era, which is marked by competitive economic and technological transformation, it's imperative that we recognize the need for ASEAN to not only maintain its unity and centrality, but also to adapt and to continue to remain relevant to this dynamic, but I would say highly divided geopolitical landscape we see today. Indonesia's chairmanship of ASEAN this year, I would say, has fundamentally strengthened ASEAN's relevance to the world under the theme of ASEAN as the epicentrum of growth. A big congratulations to the government and the people of Indonesia for helping to deepen the contribution to the ASEAN Vision. As you all know, ASEAN was founded on the principles of mutual respect, mutual cooperation, and the shared vision for regional stability and prosperity. That's the foundation. And over the decades, we have seen huge benefits that have risen from the sensible and pragmatic approach. Well, you can see that many global economies, especially you've seen that in the developed West, where they have chosen the last few years to further restrict market openness under the guise of domestic economic protection or climate change. In ASEAN, we have done the reverse. In the deep of COVID-19, in the November of 2020, the 10 economies of ASEAN came together to lead into the finalizing of the ASEAN-led Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, which still remains the largest FTA free trade agreement in the world, with some of our largest trading partners of Japan, China, Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. We have meanwhile also embarked to modernize as well as update our own Artiga FTA, which is currently being negotiated and will be expanded to include circular, environment, gender, and even fresh market access elements. The negotiations for our upgraded ASEAN Artiga FTA is expected to be completed substantially in 2024, and we look forward to that. Now, it's this kind of openness and resolute economic strength that has allowed us in the post-COVID-19 era to weather our global economic storms and also to emerge as a formidable growth engine in the world economy. You've seen ministers sharing with you the stats today. Now, geopolitically, of course, the global shifts, as well as our RCEP trade connectivity and some of the strong domestic growth that we are seeing fueling our economies, clearly is bringing in stronger FDI and the movement of global supply value chains from China, from East Asia into ASEAN. Now, these new flows of global supply chain into ASEAN, they are not only influenced by the geopolitics, but they are also here because of the pressures that they are facing today for the need for them to also decarbonize their global value chains. So no longer it is just important for them to come here to harness our natural resources. They are actually reorganizing and redesigning the whole manufacturing value chain in order to fulfill decarbonization needs. I think all that is fueling and is actually allowed ASEAN to be able to sustain our growth and relevance. As the numbers is shared by ministers, we're expecting somewhere close to about 4.5, 4.6% growth this year, and another above 4% growth next year. I think obviously there will be some adjustments with the way the global trade has happened in the last couple of months, but I do believe that we will still end the year with a very decent positive growth circumstance. Now, more than ever, we find ourselves in the midst of some major technological shifts. In fact, we've seen the digital revolution hasten our COVID-19 readjustments in helping to reshape our industries, our societies, our economies in ASEAN, and we've seen that at an unprecedented pace. We are today witnessing the rise of more and more fourth industrial revolution activities the deployment and use of artificial intelligence, the tapping of blockchain, the Internet of Things. All these no longer are just buzzwords. They are becoming integral components in the way we work, in the way our companies operate, in the way we play. And I think this is what we need to put into place in order to remain relevant. Now, recognizing all of these increasing challenges, ASEAN has adopted a declaration on ASEAN as an epicenter of growth during the recent 43rd ASEAN Summit in Jakarta in September this year. Now, that declaration solidifies our commitment to strengthen our region's position as the epicenter of growth by navigating and responding to global challenges and unleashing the growth potential fully for our region. Now, core to this declaration is our strategy and vision to strengthen our resilience against future shock and doing all we can to embrace digital transformation and, more importantly, fostering sustainable ecosystems. Allow me to briefly elaborate on what we are forging ahead in the coming years. First, we are actively in ASEAN working towards establishing a robust resiliency in critical areas such as food security, in finance and energy. Now, with regards to food security, substantial investments have been made in creating a seamless integrated logistics network for food and agriculture resources. Now, this will include our efforts in exploring the establishment of local-based food resources and enhancing the effectiveness of our ASEAN food security information system. Simultaneously, in the finance sector, we are advancing regional payment connectivity like never before, in also the use of local currency transactions, which hopefully will further strengthen financial resilience as well as minimize our region's exposure to external shocks. In energy sector, there are concerted efforts underway to fully implement our ASEAN power grid and the Trans-ASEAN gas pipeline, and which we have identified already 18 regional interconnection projects to advance our ASEAN power grid. We have in place a multi-year program now that will focus first on multilateral electricity trading, second on strengthening our grid resilience modernization, third, we are looking to promote clean and renewable energy integration, and lastly, we will work towards decarbonizing existing fossil energy network through carbon capture and carbon reutilization and storage. In agriculture, which is critical to our region, we have also endorsed the frameworks last 2 years to embrace sustainable agriculture. And at recently concluded ASEAN Agriculture, Food and Forestry Ministerial last week in KL, the agriculture ministers issued a joint statement to reduce the use of harmful agrochemicals to ensure that food and environment protection is maintained. In 2024, in the coming year, Laos is taking on the chairmanship from Indonesia, and Laos is also prioritizing the development of practical action plan for the implementation of the ASEAN guidelines on sustainable agriculture. Now, these multifaceted energy, agri-food initiatives, including finance, collectively all bolster our resilience in food energy security. And on this note, taking into account that is very important, the important role of the private sector, and I'd like to call upon the business community that's here today to share your expertise and your resources to us to support ASEAN and the ASEAN members in this endeavor. Second, I just want to highlight how ASEAN leaders have also recognized that we want to remain as the epicenter of growth, and this is where we also see that there's an estimated 125,000 new internet users in the region every day. The ASEAN digital economy is going to be a driver for the region, and this is going to be expected to grow, and it's going to add another US $1 trillion to the GDP by 2030. Now, witnessing this exponential growth, we are working very hard in order to reap the benefits of digital transformation, and as Minister Elanga has mentioned, there is the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement. He's also one of the major architects and supporter of this initiative in ASEAN. Now, this negotiation of DEFA, this is going to be, for the first time in the world, a legally binding digital agreement that binds a region together. If we get it right, and if we make it comprehensively, sufficiently enough, right, we are possibly, by 2030, be able to grow our digital economy in ASEAN by another $1 trillion US dollars. Okay, so this is where instead of just being 1 trillion by 2030, DEFA negotiations, a comprehensive way, will help us reach 2 trillion by 2030. Again, this is going to be huge amount of opportunities for businesses that are here today. Although digital economy holds tremendous potential, it also accentuates significant challenges. So therefore, we will have to address digital divide, cybersecurity threats, and the need for increased investment in digital infrastructure and human capital development, just to name a few. And I think this is where there are several hurdles that impede our potential to reap the full benefits of regional digital integration and connectivity. And with this in mind, I would like to encourage that we need solid, practical solutions from the private sector to come forward to help us promote just digital inclusivity, as well as ensuring the benefits of digital transformation that is accessible and affordable to all of the communities in ASEAN. Last but not least, let me also emphasize that ASEAN's success as a region is contingent on fostering a healthy society and a sustainable ecosystem. And to this end, we have intensified our sustainability efforts. Member states have all come together, particularly in the economic sector, by developing a regional approach towards carbon neutrality that's going to complement the NDP plans for each of the ASEAN member states to be able to meet their NDP targets. ASEAN has come together this year to agree to a very structured pathway called the ASEAN Carbon Neutral Plan in order to help coordinate at the regional level for us to be able to achieve low carbon future. It involves 8 important strategies, and we have actually gone ahead and identified 16 very important priorities for implementation over the next few years that will complement the efforts of the ASEAN member states to reach towards their carbon neutrality targets. If we get it right, this is going to bring a value add of another 5.3 trillion to our economic value to ASEAN and generate another 66 million jobs by 2050. Now, one critical factor in enabling this ASEAN green transformation is financing. This is an area where the assessment of risks, I believe today, has not been on par with the existing needs of the economies in ASEAN. And I think this is where the need for us to make access to financing is still not where we need to be. I think, for example, in ASEAN, we need about US $200 billion annually from now to 2030 in order to move our needle towards green transformation. However, today, the ASEAN sustainable debt market, composed of all the outstanding green social sustainable bonds, is only totaling about 63 billion US. In this regard, in ASEAN, we must intensify our efforts to promote sustainable financing, which will enable our region to access global funds. We must also ensure that our ASEAN finance taxonomies are adjusted to inclusively cover transition financing and just financing in order to attract the necessary de-risking also that's required by the transformations from the high emission sectors are requiring. Now, many of the green financing initiatives in ASEAN today, because of some sectors, the way the projects are structured, they do not necessarily have the scale to be able to attract green financing. And this is where I will again call upon the private sector here to look at how we can sort this problem out. I think we need to be able to mobilize capital more creatively to ensure that small-scale projects can also be able to tap efficiently the green financing. And I think this is a critical aspect of work forward for us. Now, through collaborative partnerships that I've seen here this morning, UOB's deep commitment in the region to create 1 million jobs, I'm so happy to see so many of investors, not only within ASEAN, but from places as far as China and other places, are here today in this event. I think it's this kind of efforts that can surely drive the economic development, the technological advancement, the sustainable development that our region needs. And by leveraging such quality partnerships, I think we are paving the way for a prosperous and a resilient future together. With that, thank you very much.